I'm so excited to get to that game for a variety of reasons, but the other part that the game should not be about the coach, right? People come to game day, they buy tickets to watch players play, right? In a sense, you come to watch coaches coach, and you surely don't come to watch referees officiate, right? You come to watch players play, and the more I can make that about the game, right? We have two divisional games, right? We played the University of Iowa, and there's going to be a lot said about that, but it's really not about that, right? It's about the 11 players on the field and the team that's there that had nothing to do with any part of the decisions that brought me to Iowa or brought me to Wisconsin or the departure of both. It's about the players, and I think that's the part that I see as a 51. But I am excited to build this brand. I told the commissioner called me maybe 4 or 5 days after I took the job. I was sitting in a hotel parking lot. I remember we had a chance to connect, and the only thing I said to him, I said the part that I really enjoyed while I was here is building the brand of Big Ten football, hopefully making it, when I left after 3 titles, as good as we could at the time. And my goal is to help make this Big Ten conference, as great as we can along the way. That's definitely in my interest.
Bret, reports surfaced yesterday about Texas and OU's interest in the SEC, and if something like that happens, it certainly might send college football. What are your thoughts on that, having been in the SEC?
I know the history. I know those things.
What is college football going to look like in 5 years?
Yeah. I appreciate, one of the great things I learned from Coach Belichick is speak for yourself, right? So I'm not going to speak on behalf of another conference, another team. But I do think one of the things that opened the door during this whole COVID and just watching and observing it, first in the NFL and now when I've come back to college football, I think the existence of what's happened over the last 18 months has opened the door, in my opinion, for something very drastic to happen in college football. I don't know exactly what it is. The NIL question, right? Like you learned early on in science class, right? The more variables they add, the more inconsistent the results could possibly be, right? And I know right now in this world of college football, I'm not claiming to be a science major, right? But we've added the variable of a return to play with COVID from last year. You added the variable of the transfer portal, and now you've added the variable of the NIL all in one frame. Like something's going to happen. Like I don't know what it is, but something's going to happen. You can just feel it. You can sense it in recruiting. Now I went from a Zoom call the other day where 3 weeks prior to that, all the calls were about what is Illinois going to do? What are you going to do to make yourselves better with? So now, what do I get with NIL? What do I have? What are your players getting? It's just opening up a box, and there's going to be unintended consequences for what's ever happened right now. Whatever we've allowed, whatever we've said we're going to do, there is going to be unintended consequences to those actions. No one had any idea when they turned the shot clock on in college football what the results were going to be, right? They were trying to make the game more consistent. They were trying to have the officials become more consistent in how they operated and the timing of the play. And the unintended consequence of that was the up-tempo offense, right? So, there's a lot of different things that happen in this world that aren't intended to be.
What stood out to you
Well, 2 things. First, a couple of my coaches knew of him in recruiting, and then, of course, you guys know I have a relationship with Chris Ash, so I called Chris, and Chris was very, very upfront about what kind of person he was, player he was, and we kind of had some transition in our room, offensively, the quarterback room specifically, and I wanted to bring in a more veteran player. I was trying to get a 2 or 3 year grad transfer that was because we had recruited a high school player that we want. And quarterbacks are very unique animals, right? At times, I get it. You can run a gimmick play where 2 quarterbacks are on the field, but for the most part, quarterbacks and tailbacks are similar in the fact there's only one on the field at a time. And that's a very unique prospect, right? It's a very unique recruiting prospect. So Art was really one of the first guys after we got done with spring ball that I'm like, hey, we need one more guy. Let's go out and see what's out there. And it was a pretty quick courting relationship. I called him and, had a couple conversations and he had some conversations with TP, and all of a sudden he wanted to make this real. Now we had to walk through some academic issues to get him to where we need to get verified so we get him in school, but that all happened pretty quickly.